In today's evolving world, growth happens through experiences, exploration, and opportunities that extend far beyond traditional settings. This session, the G.R.O.W. time, Education Beyond the Classroom, will take a closer look at how we can create meaningful learning experiences that nurture curiosity, build real-world skills, and empower students to grow in every aspect of their lives. Leading this inspiring session is Philisa Bennett, the Organizational Culture and Curriculum Specialist at LBC Educational Consulting. She is an accomplished educational leader with over 20 years of experience in K-12 education, adult learning, and community development. Please help me welcome Philisa to the stage.
Good morning, everyone. It is an absolute pleasure to be in front of you all today and have the opportunity to share the work that I've literally been working on for the last 8 years of my teaching career. So this is really, really important to me. Grow Time was born because of a lot of different factors, believe it or not, prior to COVID. And it expanded throughout the years. I just want to tell you a couple of things about it. Hopefully I can. I want to take a moment to check in with you. This is one thing that I do with my students every morning as soon as they come into the classroom, because I need to be able to know what they're thinking, how they're feeling. All of those things are important when we're thinking about how we're going to help them get through the day. So,
clicker right here. Advanced specialist button.
Okay, great. Thank you. It's really important for me to understand my students because I work in an alternative education setting where I have students from a wide variety of backgrounds. They may have disciplinary issues. They may have mental and emotional health issues. They may be pregnant. They may even have some other issues going on. Some of my students are general ed. Others have IEPs. Sometimes students may come to me because they've transferred in from another school district and they're trying to figure out where that student should be placed, what type of self-contained classroom they should be in. So I have students of all backgrounds in my classroom. So knowing how they're feeling as soon as they walk into the classroom is super important because that's going to set the tone for that particular student for the entire day. So I want to encourage you to take a moment, check in with me. How are you feeling this morning? I know it's still kind of early, but it's the last day of the conference. So how are you feeling right now? Start from that inner circle and work your way out. How's everybody feeling? You're feeling great? Awesome, awesome. For me, I am feeling a mixture of emotions right now. I'm feeling a little nervous, but extremely excited to be able to be in front of you here today. GROW is an acronym that stands for growth, resilience, optimism, and wealth. It's always been important to me to be able to instill these characteristics in my students, even when I was teaching high school English prior to becoming the lead in the alternative school program. So I've always looked at my students a little bit differently than most people. I cannot stand the term at risk. What are your students at risk of? At risk of not graduating, at risk of dropping out? What are they at risk of? And when you label a student as being at risk, they internalize that. And when they internalize it, it's manifested through their actions in the classroom. You may see it manifested as poor grades or poor attendance, even poor behavior. So I always tell my kids that they are not at risk, they are at promise, because they have yet to realize the promises for their future. So it's my job to be able to help them see what their futures can actually be. Common challenges that I face in this alternative school setting, and I'm sure many of you also have these challenges in your classroom. I always have had issues with students' behavior, their mindset, their attendance, and their poor grades. But there are solutions to those problems. You've got to give them rigor, relevance. You've got to give them a sense of community, and you have to teach them how to build and maintain relationships with others, even themselves. Growth time matters specifically because of this young man right here. This is Blake. Blake came into my classroom as a second-time ninth grader with only 2 credits towards graduation. He was already 16 years old, and he had a huge chip on his shoulder because of his home life. Both of his parents were on drugs, and it was up to him at 9 years old to be able to take care of his 4 younger siblings. He had to make sure that they had food in the house and that they were fed, that they had clothes to wear, and that they were clean, making sure that he got them off to school. So he never really had a good perspective on getting an education. And he always felt like he didn't belong at school, that he wouldn't do well in school because none of his family members graduated from high school. Not his mom, not his dad, not his grandparents, or aunts or uncles on either side of his family graduated from high school. But as you can see in this picture in the middle, Blake did graduate. I was so proud of him. He was able to graduate in 2 years. He graduated on time with his class, and he is now a Marine. I couldn't be more proud of this young man. Grow time truly helped him grow. And this is why Grow Time works, because it provides students with multi-tiered systems of support. It helps them develop a growth mindset. I'm able to teach them life skills that they'll need in order to be able to succeed in the real world. Not only that, I help them be able to see what they want their lives to be like. So I give them that vision. I help them find their purpose. And I do that first through working on their mental and emotional well-being, helping them identify so many of those triggers because of adverse childhood experiences. And then the last thing I teach them to make sure that they can be successful in the real world is financial literacy. They don't get these topics taught to them in a traditional classroom setting. It just doesn't happen. I saw this problem back in 2019. In this alternative school program, we used to have a licensed professional counselor, and he decided to leave to pursue private practice full time. When he left, there was a huge void. Students were lost in their own ways. And it was up to me to figure out ways that I could help fill that void, solve those problems for these students. And one of the ways that I do this is through growth. There are 5 types: self-management, self-awareness, social awareness, responsible decision-making, and relationship skills. Where I start off at first is self-awareness. They have to be able to recognize the things that are happening in their bodies, recognizing those thought patterns, because it makes a difference. And after they become self-aware, they can become socially aware as well and be able to develop those relationship skills. And through self-management, learning how to control those negative thoughts, those negative emotions, and those negative actions, they're able to make more responsible decisions. Next is resilience, and there are 7 components. Again, they have to have that meaning and purpose. If they don't have that, they're lost. They're just kind of floating around aimlessly in the world. So that's the first thing that I get them to think about. We create vision books, and I have them think about different elements of their lives. You know, what do they want their lifestyle to be like? What kind of career do they want to have? What kind of house do they want to live in? What kind of car do they want to drive? What qualities they want to have in themselves when they get to be an adult. They have to also be able to face their fears. A lot of times when kids aren't doing well in the classroom, it's because they're scared. They don't want to answer a question for fear of being wrong. So when you're able to get them to open up and face those fears and see that they can pretty much do whatever they want, it really helps them become more resilient. They also have to have cognitive and emotional flexibility. I want them to be able to identify and understand all of their emotional and bodily reactions. We take time to just sit and meditate. Sometimes we even do yoga in class, and it's really funny to see some of the boys doing downward dog. They're like, Miss Bennett, please don't make me do this. Please don't make me do this. And I'm like, chill out, dude. It's going to work out. Just listen to the music, let your body flow, and it's going to be just fine. This is something that's really important in helping them build that resilience and becoming more in tune with their bodies and their thoughts and their emotions. And that leads to their brain and physical fitness. We always make sure that students are able to take that time outside or in the gym. My classroom is currently like a dungeon. There are no windows. It's 4 cinder block walls. We're in the back corner of the campus, away from everything and everybody. So it's really important that they have that opportunity to get physical activity. And me and my staff always strive to be good role models for them. And because we're able to be good role models, we're able to help support them in a variety of ways. The social support also comes from the other kids in class. We have morning meetings every morning, and we'll talk about a variety of topics. Sometimes I'll even pull content from Instagram for us to discuss. And when they're able to hear each other's thoughts, they're able to have deep discussions and be able to build more of a community in the classroom, and they are able to support each other when things aren't going so well. And lastly, spirituality. I know that we aren't supposed to talk about religion in class, but to me, religion is different from spirituality. We do engage in meditation. Sometimes some of the kids even talk about, their relationship with their higher power. It's not anything that I initiate, but those are things that they begin to talk about on their own because they feel so comfortable with each other, because they have built those relationships and built community. And next is optimism. When students begin to feel optimistic because they've already developed that growth mindset and they're already becoming more resilient, they feel a lot differently. Their mental health improves. Their physical health improves. Of course, they have greater resilience. They have improved relationships, not just with their peers, not just with me and the staff in the program, but they also have better relationships with their parents, which they always come to me and they're like, Ms. Bennett, oh my gosh, thank you so much. My kid has totally changed. This is amazing. Like, what did you do? Because I only have 45 days with these students. That's it. I've got 45 days to do as much as I can to help these kids transform their lives. That's it, 45 days. So we have to move on to the wealth component of G.R.O.W time. And wealth is not just financial wealth. A lot of times the kids are just thinking, well, I just want to be rich. But rich how? It's not just about money. Sure, we all want that financial security and freedom to be able to do the things that we like to do. We want to have that time and that flexibility. But being wealthy also means that you have more access to different opportunities. It expands your mind to see the world on a much larger scale. It's not just about me, and being in my bubble. They're able to see a whole lot more. And when they do, they have greater peace of mind. They understand that because the world is so big, that they have the opportunity to make an impact on the world, to influence other people. They're able to aspire to be something greater. First thing I do when students walk into the class on day one is orientation. Because again, I only have 45 days. So I have to get to know my students as quickly and as deeply as possible. So during orientation, I give them a battery of assessments, including a love languages inventory. They have to set SMART goals for while they're in the program as well as beyond the program. We talk about their general intelligences because everybody is smart, they're just smart in different ways. So once I'm able to understand in what ways they are smart, I'm able to tap into that. And another thing I do is take a personality inventory. It really helps me understand exactly who it is that I'm dealing with in the classroom, because they aren't just students, they're people too. And we have to consider that. G.R.O.W time is a variety of things. It's not just talking about what life is going to be like once they graduate from high school. We work on healthy habit building, developing a growth mindset. I help them develop life skills. They learn how to do their taxes, create a budget. They learn how to buy their first car. their first house, read a lease agreement. There's so many different elements to this. I help them learn how to build and maintain relationships, because as teenagers, their friend group can be pretty fluid. They also get the opportunity to do some college and career exploration, because again, we want them to have purpose. And if they can see themselves going to college beyond high school, if they can see themselves in a certain career, that helps them develop that vision and purpose. We also do a lot of mindfulness. We work on gratitude journals. Every Thursday is Thankful Thursday, and they know that when they come into the classroom, they need to pull out their journals, choose from a list of prompts, and then write. Think about what it is that they're grateful for. Everything down to, what are you most grateful for in nature? What are those things that you appreciate most in life? And the last thing that we do as a part of Grow Time, and also a part of orientation, is life traps. I want you to take a second, scan this QR code. It links you to a life traps assessment. And in this assessment, you're going to learn a lot about yourself. You're going to learn how you feel because of those adverse childhood experiences that you had so long ago. Those things shape who we are as people. They manifest themselves in so many different ways in the classroom. When kids have a life trap of mistrust or abuse, they're not going to open up to their teachers quickly. That's just not going to happen, because they don't feel internally that they'll ever be able to trust anybody. So those are the kids that come into your class, they sit in the back corner, and they say nothing. It's hard to be able to break the ice with those kids. Life traps are a dysfunctional pattern of thinking, feeling, and behaving that persists into adulthood. It completely shapes our characteristics. When you finish this, I want you to think, what did you learn about yourself that you didn't realize before? And then I want you to think about how this information can be helpful to your students. Last part is financial literacy. I talk to them about budgeting and banking and credit and loans and insurance and taxes and investing. These are questions that students have because they don't know how to do any of this stuff. They have absolutely no clue whatsoever what they need to do to be productive adults. You know, in a traditional classroom setting, we're preparing them for academia, and that's it. They don't know what to do when they get out in the real world. So I have taken it upon myself to be able to teach them what it's going to be like when they become successful adults. They learn life skills, taxes, credit, lease agreements, buying a car, getting a job. We have interview days where I'll interview students and they'll interview each other so that they can get used to what it's going to be like when they have to interview for a job. Sometimes I'll even bring in other teachers to help interview so that we have a panel of people that they have to interview with. So many ways to measure success with Grow Time. You're able to see, especially at the high school level, a difference in the amount of credits a student can earn in 45 days. Last semester, I had a student who came into the program because he was behind in credits, and he was able to earn 8 credits towards graduation in one semester. Their attendance improves. They're able to get better grades. I always check what their GPA is before they come into the class, before I even have an intake meeting to bring them into class. And once they leave, generally, they're at least 2 levels higher. So if they come in with a D, they leave with a B. Their behavior improves, and that confidence from those outside sources, parents, administrators, other teachers, when they go back to their traditional classroom settings, they're all able to see a difference in what these kids are like, how they're thinking, what they're doing. Growth time is awesome because it helps kids develop that self-awareness. They learn how to build healthy relationships with others. They're able to explore colleges and careers. I even have virtual reality in my classroom so that the kids are able to learn different trades hands-on. They learn about welding and carpentry and nursing and veterinary technician. They learn all of those different things, and they have the opportunity to do it hands-on. And beyond that, they get a vision for their lives. They're able to see what's most important to them. Does anybody have any questions about growth time, how you can implement it in your classroom? Well, go ahead. We begin working with those students and their parents in the intake meetings before they come into the program. They are able to set goals for their students as well as the students set goals for themselves. I keep in constant contact with parents, letting them know what their progress is, giving them the opportunity to ask any questions that they might have. So we stay in constant contact with each other. Parents are also able to come into the classroom, see what the students are doing, and being able to add their own input into what they want their student to do. Any other questions? All right, well, thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you about my work.